Greetings again, and welcome back for training segment number 4C. For this supplemental training segment, I'm going to explain and then demonstrate a very simple deep breathing relaxation intervention. As mentioned in training segment 4B, intense anxiety can make it extra hard to connect with positive memories, activate relational circuits, and connect with Jesus. So, 1. If the recipient has intense anxiety right at the beginning of the session, you will want to deal with their anxiety before you even start the Immanuel Approach process. 2. If you go through the initial positive memory recall and connect with Jesus steps, the recipient is having difficulty perceiving and connecting with Jesus, and they are significantly anxious. The very first troubleshooting intervention that you want to use is to coach them through a simple relaxation intervention and then try the initial positive memory recall and connect with Jesus steps again. And 3. If the recipient loses their connection with Jesus later in the session, you are trying to help them reestablish their connection by coaching them back to their initial positive memory and connection with Jesus, but they are having difficulty, and they are significantly anxious. The very first troubleshooting intervention that you want to use is to coach them through a simple relaxation intervention and then try again to coach them back to their initial positive memory and connection with Jesus. As also mentioned in training segment 4B, there are 2 relaxation interventions that I particularly like to use: deep breathing and shalom for my body. The simplest, quickest, most straightforward relaxation intervention is deep breathing. There are a number of different deep breathing techniques that people use to help with relaxation. I use an especially simple technique that I find to be particularly appropriate for situations in which I have not worked with the recipient before and time is limited. Again, this is the technique I use if I'm part of a ministry situation where a team of facilitators is offering single, brief Immanuel prayer sessions to anyone who wants them as just one part of a larger conference, such as the amazing Immanuel Approach ministry adventure that Charlotte and I helped with at the InterVarsity Urbana 2022 convention. Even in these especially challenging situations, where time is limited and the recipient I'm working with is usually a complete stranger, I find that I can explain, demonstrate, and then lead the recipient through this extremely simple intervention. In a minute, I will come back to this especially simple deep breathing exercise. I will describe it in detail and then demonstrate exactly how I use it in Immanuel Approach sessions. And again, the second relaxation intervention that I particularly like to use is shalom for my body. This intervention is a bit odd, and it's a bit more complicated than deep breathing, so it's actually not the best fit if time is limited and you don't know anything about the person receiving ministry. However, it is especially effective. So if you have worked with the recipient before, and you know that they are already familiar with this resource, so that you can easily remind them of it and lead them through it without needing to explain it, then this is the intervention to use. For additional explanation and demonstration of the Shalom for My Body intervention, see training segments 9 and 9B. And now, back to the especially simple deep breathing exercise. So here's the description. You coach the recipient to take a deep breath in through their nose, to hold it for a couple of seconds, and then to breathe out slowly through their mouth, taking longer to exhale than they took to inhale. Also, you coach them to take a couple of normal breaths between each deep breath. This is helpful because sometimes when people are just beginning to learn deep breathing exercises, their deep breathing can produce abnormal CO2 and or oxygen levels, and they can start to feel dizzy and or like they're not getting enough air. Taking a couple normal breaths between each deep breath is a very simple way to prevent this problem. And again. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold it for a couple of seconds. Breathe out slowly through the mouth, taking longer to exhale than you took to inhale. And between each deep breath, take a couple of normal breaths. Now for the demonstrations. Charlotte and I will first demonstrate what it looks like to use this deep breathing intervention right at the beginning of the session. For situations in which you are about to start the process, but then the recipient reports that they are anxious, or you notice that they are significantly anxious. I'm noticing that you seem pretty anxious.
Yeah.
I think it would be good to take a couple of minutes to go through a deep breathing exercise just to bring that anxiety down a couple of notches. The rest of the prayer will work more easily if we bring that anxiety down a bit. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, fine.
Good. So here's what we're going to do. We'll take a deep breath in through our noses. We'll hold it for a couple of seconds, and then we'll breathe out slowly through our mouth. And we'll take longer to exhale than to inhale. Also, between each of the deep breaths, we'll take a couple of normal breaths. We'll do this for a couple of minutes. You can just follow me. Good, so here we go. In, hold, out. Normal. 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 In, hold, out. And normal. So how is your anxiety doing? Any better?
Yeah. Yeah, it's less. It's less.
Great. So now we're going to move on to the positive memory and appreciation step.
Okay.
And now Charlotte and I will demonstrate what it looks like to use this especially simple deep breathing intervention when the recipient is having difficulty with the positive memory recall and connect with Jesus steps, and the facilitator notices that they are significantly anxious. So we are pretending that we are trying to go through the positive memory recall and connect with Jesus steps at the beginning of an Immanuel session. We've already worked together to find the positive memory. Now we're going through the step to connect with the positive memory, stir up appreciation, and connect with Jesus. And we're pretending that Charlotte is having trouble with this, and then that I notice she is significantly anxious. And also, let me make a quick additional comment here so we can get 2-for-1 teaching value from this demonstration. If we were in the middle of a session, Charlotte had lost her initial connection with, she had initially been able to connect with Jesus. She had lost her connection with Jesus. And we were trying to go through the positive memory recall and connect with Jesus steps to help her get back to her initial connection with Jesus. But she was having trouble with that. And then I noticed that she was significantly anxious. My use of the deep breathing exercise in the middle of the session would look essentially the same as what we're going to demonstrate here for the beginning of a session. Okay, so back to pretending that we're trying to go through the positive memory recall and connect with Jesus steps from the beginning of a session. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes. Picture yourself back inside your positive memory and describe the experience in as much detail as possible. What were you seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling on your skin? Who were you with? What were you thinking and feeling? I want you to remember and describe the details until you can feel connected to the memory and feel appreciation.
Okay. We were, we were working with that memory of being at Glacier National Park with those friends, having that picnic dinner at their campsite. It like the most beautiful campground in the world. We were eating dinner, and it was really good dinner. Fresh trout with butter. And I think there was like some sort of pie from this Amish like farmers market thing that they'd gone to. So we were having that meal together. And
I'm just noticing your face looks a little more anxious than grateful, so just keep remembering and describing more details, the beautiful scenery, the
right,
weather.
Well, like I said, it was really beautiful. Kind of like woodsy campsite, but then you get to the edge of it, you could see the mountains, and there was this beautiful brook that went right nearby the campsite. Perfect weather, no bugs. Kind of amazing, really.
Just want to check in again because your face looks more anxious than grateful. Still in your positive memory?
Well, actually, I really keep thinking about this other thing that I'm worried about at church, which just keeps like taking over.
Right. So just try again, back to the positive memory with our friends, fresh trout in butter, pie from the Amish farm stand.
That was amazing.
You can see the mountain vegetable.
Yeah.
Oh, fresh vegetables.
These fresh vegetables. The girls did such a great job of cooking
they
that
did such
meal.
a great job
And
of
it was so
cooking.
cool that they did it. I mean, they were getting such joy from making this great meal for their parents and us. That was cool. Yeah, all sitting around and eating and
Just checking in again because your face is still looking more anxious than grateful. Still in your positive memory?
well, not much. It's hard to get that much of the screen.
So it seems like you're having a lot of trouble, and it seems like you're also pretty anxious. Is that accurate?
Yeah, maybe more than I even realized.
So anxiety makes it extra hard to really connect with your positive memory, stir up appreciation, and connect with Jesus. So I'm thinking, let's take a couple minutes to go through a deep breathing exercise and bring that anxiety down a couple notches. And then we can try again to go through the positive memory recall and connect with Jesus steps. Now, I think it'll be a lot easier to really get inside your positive memory, stir up appreciation, and connect with Jesus if we bring that anxiety down first. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Okay. Good. So here's what we'll do. We'll take a deep breath in through our noses. We'll hold it for a couple of seconds. Then we'll breathe out slowly through our mouths. And we'll take longer to exhale than to inhale. And also, after each deep breath, we'll take a couple of normal breaths. Good? Good. So here we go. In. Hold. Out. Normal. 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 In. Hold. Out. No. Good. So, how's your anxiety? Any better?
Yeah, actually seems a lot less.
Good. So now I would like to, let's try to go through the initial positive memory recall and connect with Jesus steps again. Let's try to really get inside the positive memory, stir up appreciation, and connect with Jesus. If you feel like you're ready to try that again.
Yeah, okay.
Good. So there you go. That's what it looks like to use this especially simple deep breathing intervention in several different scenarios that you might encounter. Now let me close with a prayer. Lord, help us to learn and use these troubleshooting tools so that we can help identify and resolve the hindrances and blockages between our hearts and you. Help us to identify and resolve these blockages so that we can perceive and connect with your wonderful, living, personal, interactive, loving, life-giving friendship presence. Amen. Amen and amen.